Have you ever wondered how newscasters and sometimes politicians read so fluently from a teleprompter? Stay tuned, we're going to give you all the tips you need to read off a teleprompter next on Moxie Talk. Hi everyone, I'm Fia Fasbinder and welcome to Moxie Talk, where we help you find your voice, share your message, and lead with confidence. Today we're talking about how to read a teleprompter and speak like a professional. And this is part of a series we're doing on media training. So let's just imagine for a second, you get a phone call as soon as you wake up in the morning, and it's telling you that your team has landed a big media appearance. And if you ace this media appearance, your company's sales will shoot up. And all you have to do is show up and read a speech from a teleprompter. Would you know what to do? Where do you look? Where's the camera? How do you do it without sounding like you're reading? You think to yourself, how hard can it be really, right? You read the words, you smile, and your face gets beamed all over the company, and your company rakes in the bucks. Not that easy. In fact, reading from a teleprompter is an art. Now, reading and speaking are two different things. You have to look like you're doing one when you're really doing the other. So you have to look like you're casually off the cuff speaking to your audience when really you're reading off a teleprompter. And that's one of the snags that haunts novice speakers. You can tell immediately that they're reading off a teleprompter, and we've all experienced that, as well as the flip side, which is somebody that is obviously a pro and needs to read off a teleprompter and does it with ease. Now, there's something that goes on in the mind of your viewer, your audience, when they might know you're actually reading off a teleprompter, but it seems like you're just speaking to them off the cuff. So teleprompters can be really difficult, but when you learn how to do it, it's something that can really make your life so much easier. Now, another snag that gets novice teleprompter users is that the speed of the words can change. So sometimes they're flying across your screen way faster than you can talk. And sometimes they're going at a snail's pace, and you're waiting for the teleprompter monitor to go faster. So it's really difficult to get that speed right so that you seem like you're speaking at a natural pace. You want to look good, you want to sound good, and you want to come off as if you're just speaking off the cuff. If you want to know a little bit more about speaking off the cuff, watch my prior videos on media coaching. But this time we're going to speak about how to read from a teleprompter so you look like you're speaking off the cuff when there's really a script. Now, there's a few tips you need to know that will help you make sure that you are doing this with confidence. And the first is to know your script. I can't count the amount of people that I've trained who say, I'm just going to show up and read off the teleprompter. I'm better in the moment. This is usually either ignorance or arrogance. Nobody is better reading off a teleprompter for the very first time. Everyone, and I mean everyone, even the most seasoned teleprompter readers are better with at least one practice under their belt. So if you have the opportunity to look at the script beforehand, even in a Word doc or a Google doc, make sure you do. This way, even if you haven't memorized it, you're familiar with what comes next and you're not using that teleprompter as a crutch, more of a reminder. So teleprompters should not be read for the first time where you can tell that, the speaker is kind of squinting and reading it for the first time. The same way we don't want to read completely off our PowerPoint, it's no different with the teleprompter. We want to make sure that we can stay present, that we can look into the camera, that we can smile, that we can be relaxed, and that we know what comes next. And all of this comes from looking at the script ahead of time and being familiar with that script. So that's tip number one. Tip number two is to practice reading off a teleprompter. I mentioned before that teleprompters can be tricky in terms of how fast they go or how slow they go, and trying to get a natural cadence for the way you speak. You can only get this right if you practice. Now, if you can't get permission to go into the studio and you don't have any kind of tech or dress rehearsal with that teleprompter, which you probably will, and it's great when you do, if you don't, there are plenty of teleprompter apps out there that you can practice with on your iPad or your laptop. And you can practice this idea of the words scrolling down. You can be your own monitor. You can tell the teleprompter when to stop, to go faster, to go slower. And really what you're doing is getting comfortable reading off a teleprompter, so that when you get up there, when you get into that theater or that television studio, you're ready to rock and roll. Number 3, and this is along the same lines of practicing, is to own what you're reading. Oftentimes when you have a teleprompter, you are reading something that you did not write. But it's important, it sounds like you're speaking from the heart, that this is something that is near and dear to you, that you are the subject matter expert. The teleprompter should really just be there to catch you if you fall, meaning it should be there to help you if you forget what to say. And if you're a busy executive who has to read a lot of communication by the marketing department and the communications department and you didn't write it, it's really important that you take a look at it beforehand and figure out some ways to make it your own. This will make sure that high stakes presentations, whether they're TED Talks or conference keynotes, run smoothly and sound like you own that teleprompter speech. Now, if you can get a copy of the script ahead of time, like I said, it's a really good idea to take a look at it, practice some talking points, find places to maybe make it your own. Make sure that you're staying in the time that you were allotted. And if you're new to reading off that teleprompter, put that script into a teleprompter app and practice, especially if you're reading something you didn't write. Number 4 is to add some vocal variety to your speech. Make a deal with yourself that you'll change some things up so you don't sound like you're reading off a script. We can all tell the difference in somebody's voice when they're reading versus when they're just speaking off the cuff. And I have done many videos on vocal variety and vocal executive presence, but the gist of it is you want to change up your pacing, add some pauses, emphasize different words, find places to maybe change your pitch or change your tone. This way you make sure you're going to keep your audience engaged and you're not going to sound like somebody that's reading a technical manuscript to us. And again, if you want some more information on how to do all of those things, check out my videos on vocal executive presence. Number 5 is to add a little extra oomph. We absolutely believe in being yourself at Moxie, being your authentic speaker persona. But if you are reading off a teleprompter, you need to add a little bit more energy. Again, this is on the same spirit of not wanting to sound like you're reading off a teleprompter, even if you are. We can all tell when somebody's reading by the way they get monotone, by the way they don't change their cadence, and by the way their energy falls. So if you can muster up a little bit more energy, and you probably have it anyways because you're nervous, this will definitely fuel your presentation. In fact, I love to say, if you're not nervous, you're dead, which is a saying I learned in acting school. And that really means 2 things. It means that everybody alive and breathing gets nervous, but it also means that those nerves can add some life into your delivery. So use those nerves to your advantage to make sure that you have that extra energy, even when you're reading into a teleprompter. You know, you can tell when somebody is reading off a teleprompter when they go into what I call uncanny valley. And uncanny valley is that valley where somebody seems almost like themselves, but they're void of personality, they're not making eye contact, they're kind of monotone and searching for the right words. That is uncanny valley. And the worst is when you see a speaker that has so much personality and gets up there to read off the teleprompter and they enter uncanny valley. Number 6 is to make friends with the teleprompter operator if you can. If you can get a couple of minutes to chat with them before, that would be great. Sometimes this is impossible to do, but this is really a dance between you and that teleprompter operator. And a lot of times you don't get a chance to talk to them before that rehearsal. But if you do, it's a great way to make sure they're on your side, loosen both of you up. And there's something to be said for having a teleprompter operator that you know's got your back, that you know is going to help you out, that is going to change the pace because they care if they need to. And this only comes by going up to the teleprompter operator before and saying, hey, it's a pleasure to meet you. You know, this is my first time reading off a teleprompter. Would you help me out? Do you have any tips for me? Or whatever it is that you could say to really connect you to that operator. Speaking of connection, number 7 is to smile and pause when you're reading off a teleprompter. You are not a robot, you're a human being, and even though some of us enter uncanny valley when we're reading off a teleprompter, it's so important to remember to smile and pause. Even if you mess up, even if this is live and there's no editing, make sure that you let that go and find your smile. We've talked a lot in my prior videos about mirror neurons, and that is our neurons where we mirror behavior. So if your viewer sees your face go flat, whether that's because you're nervous or because you messed up and you're feeling bad about it, or because you're bored, whatever the reason, or simply because you're thinking and you're not even aware that you're not smiling, this affects the way they view you. So make sure to practice smiling and pausing even in the heat of the moment so you don't forget to do it. Last but not least is to make sure your eyes aren't darting across the teleprompter or that we can see your eyes moving across that text. Now, if you're filming in the back of the theater where the cameramen are set up really far away, it probably won't matter what your eyes are doing. They won't capture that on the screen. However, if the camera is close to you, it's important that your viewer doesn't see your eyes moving across. Even if they know you're using a teleprompter, there's something about seeing somebody's eyes that we can tell is reading that really changes our opinion, and it really undermines your executive presence. So really practice, use that teleprompter app and practice so that you can get to a place where we can't see your eyes moving. This is what great newscasters do. You can't even tell that they're reading off a teleprompter. So that's another good reason to meet your stage crew so that you can practice that and make sure that nobody can see your eyes darting before you go on air for real. And you can even ask them, can you tell, do you have any tips for me? Anything I can do if you can get in with your stage crew. So that's it, folks. Crash course on everything you need to know, soup to nuts, to make sure that you are reading off a teleprompter like a pro. I hope that you found this video to be valuable. If you did, please make sure to like it or to share it with a friend or colleague who might find value in it. Also, please make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. There are so many videos on everything to do with public speaking and presentation skills. Last but not least, if you're interested in what we do here at Moxie Institute, check out our website, moxieinstitute.com. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next week.